What's up, guys? Mike and Ike at the movies here. I'm Mike, this is Ike, where we discuss with you guys on a weekly basis of what's good in theaters, what's not good in theaters, what to watch on Netflix, Redbox, and TV shows. Stay tuned every week, because we're here for you.
And I will try to get a word in edgewise.
He won't.
So this week, we went and saw Jurassic World.
We did see Jurassic World, and I had a heck of a time.
A heck of a time.
I did. I had a blast.
A blasty blast.
I had a blast from the past.
I'm really proud of you for going on this trip.
You're gonna have so much fun. And remember, if something chases you, run.
What were your thoughts going into it before you even went and saw it?
I was hoping that it would be better than part 3, because most things are, but I didn't know if it was going to be better than Lost World. When I grew up, I loved the first movie. I loved the second film. I'm a Jeff Goldblum fan. I hated part 3. Most people do. I think you and I can agree on that.
Yeah, first thoughts going in, I was actually really excited about it. The marketing for the movie going into it was got me really excited.
Mm-hmm.
Their Facebook page was just like, there was so much really awesome behind the scenes stuff. Some great little funny things with Chris Pratt behind the scenes, some great interviews with Steven Spielberg and Colin, the director, and just, it kind of was like, okay, Steven Spielberg is making his do-over as an executive with the Jurassic franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that 3 was a total bomb, and this is kind of the do-over. I heard a lot of stories about Spielberg being a lot more involved with the production of this one.
Unlike how he was in part 3.
Exactly.
He was still the executive producer of part 3, but this one a little bit more hands-on.
Yep.
Maybe because he saw kind of the mistake that part 3 was.
But I would say that for me going into it, I was really excited. And then on that note, though, there were some elements, in the trailers, him befriending the raptors and things like that I kind of was like, well, you could really screw this up. You could really make this very cheesy and not be very good.
Yeah, because some of the trailers, people look at it and after it was over, you hear people in theater like, okay, so we've got Raptor Bros now. You know? And I was like, oh.
Which they were Raptor Bros, and that was awesome. But
they were
I would say going into it, I had pretty high hopes, and I honestly would have to admit they exceeded the hopes that I had. I actually went into it kind of like, not necessarily like thinking it was going to be awful, but I definitely was like, I'm excited about this movie. And when I was on the edge of my seat constantly. It was actually a little bit scary for the Jurassic franchise, which I think really takes it back to the first 2 movies specifically.
I found the way that part 2 was fun.
Right.
It does resemble closer to part 2 with just a lot of characters, a lot of intensity going on here. Part 1 is very tame, but it is the quintessential classic. Now, mind you, you do not have to have seen part 2 or part 3 to enjoy this film. I think this, and I was reading this somewhere, that they almost, without saying it, deleted 2 and 3 out of their minds, and this is basically leaving off 22 years after part 1. Does take place back on Isla Nublar again, not Isla Sorna, where 2 and 3 took place. So people could technically watch just the first Jurassic Park and then watch this one, and they would be perfectly safe. I wanted to say that when we were talking about the executive producer things, that Spielberg not only was one of the executive producers, Frank Marshall was too, and we all remember Frank Marshall from Arachnophobia, who directed that, and that was the same kind of roller coaster ride that I was feeling. Both those guys together do top-notch job giving us fun entertainment, not stupid entertainment, but something smart that we can actually absorb and enjoy, and not feel like I'm getting my brain bashed in by endless CGI, kind of like a Michael Bay film. And even though Spielberg was, very probably more hands-on with this film, I still thought director Colin Trevorrow did an exquisite job at this. This was only his second feature-length film. His first film, Go Out and Find It's a lot of fun, called Safety Not Guaranteed, a little indie dramedy about time travel. And here he's now thrown into big, mega million blockbuster, and he did a top-notch job.
Why don't you talk about the cast a little bit? I mean, acting-wise, just how did you feel about the cast and what they brought to the movie?
They brought, they were exactly what we needed. It wasn't too over the top. It wasn't too silly. Yes, there were a couple cheesy one-liners in the film, but it wasn't something where you're like, oh God, I just got sucked out of the film. I'm rolling my eyes now. This is stupid. No, it's it's going to happen. You know that those are going to be in there, peppered through there somewhere. Right. But it wasn't an overabundance of it. Like I said, and Jake Johnson, who Colin Trevorrow likes to use a lot, he was a lot of fun. He co-starred in it. Like I said, D'Onofrio, Irfan Khan, Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, all did their... Even the kids in this. Every Jurassic Park film has kids in peril in these movies. These two kids, the two brothers visiting the park, were not annoying. We have seen previous Jurassic Park sequels where the children in there are hellishly annoying. Yeah. Thank God this movie didn't do that.
But I would say about Chris Pratt was probably, for me, one of the most impressive kind of characters, because I've seen a lot of these other guys... do this kind of role before. I think for Chris, he's definitely making his own right now, coming out of the Parks and Rec franchise. He's got Guardians, which was way more, honestly, was his character Andy in Parks and Rec in space.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a funny.
It's very different from Owen in this film.
Right, he's a lot more serious. He's got his little smolder going on every so often, which was fun. But because of his comedy background, he got away with some of the cheesiest lines.
Sure.
And I think that honestly, I think that's what made Jeff Goldblum so great in Lost World, is because he also can get away with those kind of things sometimes. Where guys like Alan, the character of Alan Grant, Sam O'Neill, who you wouldn't be able to get away with that. And so there was a lot of that kind of humor. Now, I think what needs to be said, though, really quick about the overall movie is John Williams did not compose Jurassic Park.
But Michael Giacchino did an amazing job with the source material of the other films, bringing it in. We hear all the famous themes throughout it, the big notes, the high swells that we love of the famous classic soundtrack. But he's done his own thing as well, and we hear him in there, and then we hear Williams's original stuff in there. In a nutshell, this is a monster movie, a very fun monster movie. So it's more of a monster film than the previous last films. I mean, even the main creature in this, the Indominus Rex, is a lab creation, to where they even say in the movie, this isn't a dinosaur, this is a monster running around. Yeah, it's a dinosaur version of Frankenstein. But at the end of the day, I gave this film an 8.5 out of 10. I'm seeing it again directly after we finish this shoot. It could be a 9 for me, a 9 out of 10. That was my personal request. I think this movie is the funnest of all the Jurassic Park films, but at least the best sequel that the first Jurassic Park film has today.
I would give it an 8. I don't know. The fan in me wants to give it a 9. Like, just that childhood in me wants to give it a 9. I would love to see it again, just to be able to kind of get more of a... I did the same thing, I think, with other... There's been other movies in the past where I've watched it a second time and it actually wasn't as good as the first time. But there was so much of that
about to see it right now, because I'm about to see
that fan in me that was like, oh my gosh, this is everything I wanted as a child. And then I go and see it a second time and I can be a little bit more critical about elements to it.
At the end of the day, go see Jurassic World. It's a lot of fun. We both enjoyed it. We both loved it. We want to know what you think. Comment below. And stay tuned and subscribe every week, because we will be here talking to you. Have a good weekend, guys. Are we rolling?
Smug. We are rolling.
Oh, we're rolling.
We're
Good.
rolling. We're always rolling. The
Good.
camera is always rolling.
This is us.
All right, perfect.
Do you want to do it again?
No, that was great.
That's